open your ears real wide and say, "Give it to me straight, doctor. I can take it."
Kick the chocks out from under the wheels. Flaps up. No offense, Margaret. Contact. We're off. Rum, rum.
Doctor, doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of loving you.
Oh, what heights will hit? On with the show. This is it.
Oh, good morning. It is Morning Brew. We are scrambling here. Pops has a power outage, so I'm going to be hosting Morning Brew this morning, and I'm going to be posting the link, or I should say pinning the link at the top and sending out invites to get the crew in here. Just as soon as I can get everything hooked up and happening without boomering it up. All right. The link is pinned at the top. All right. I have done what I can do. The link is out there. Well, let me put it on Twitter also. I had one of those moments where I thought, what has happened? Did the rapture happen and nobody told me? Spoke to Rich and he let me know. All right, so good morning. Or depending on where you're at in your part of the world. I do have my coffee and I do need it. I was up very late last night, which I do not enjoy. So the coffee is definitely a necessity here in the late morning. Let me get this link out to a couple more people here. All right, here we go. Good morning, Hallie. Things are afoot.
Yeah. Is it Pops had a power outage?
Yeah, apparently, I like everybody, I was looking for it. And I was like, "Where's Pops? I hope nothing happened to him." So I reached out to Rich, and he told me.
Yeah, I messaged Pops a couple of times. He hadn't gotten back to me, so.
Yeah, it's like, did the world end and nobody told me?
Must have been the rapture.
Yeah, the rapture happened and nobody told me. How are you this morning, Allie?
I am tired and feeling a little sick.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stomach ache.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's alright. I'll live.
Is it a run of the mill or is it a complication, you think?
No, it's run of the mill.
Huh?
I'm pretty sure it's run of the mill. I think it's something I ate.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm still in that I'm still in that fog. I slept late. You know, I think I've commented before. We get up really early around here. We get up at 4 in the morning, between 4 and 4:30.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, well, um,
Mhm.
but I just woke up like 30 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago now, and it's like, oh my god, I'm late. I got to get on the brew. No brew.
I woke up at 10, I think, which is early for me.
No, that's crazy.
I sleep like 12 hours a day, so
Ooh. Well, there is medical truth that the older you get, the less sleep you need.
but the medical truth with me is I have multiple sclerosis. One of the problems is fatigue.
Well, what I was going to say was, however, the older you get, even though the less sleep you need, the more you want.
I used to I used to be an incredible insomniac. I
Yeah,
was I would sleep maybe 1 or 2 hours a night. And that was it.
yeah, yeah. I went through that. God, early '90s, just horrible time trying to get to sleep.
No, this is the majority of my life.
Ooh,
Then suddenly I started noticing I was sleeping a lot more, and I thought it was I thought I was finally um, dealing with some serious stress I had, and I was like, oh, I'm finally sleeping. Then I kept sleeping more and more. And next thing I know, I'm in the hospital for a month.
oh, well, that's
Yep.
unpleasant.
Yeah, I had a really bad relapse. I didn't know what it was, and I lost a lot of my ability to walk.
Goodness gracious. Is that when you were diagnosed?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I've gotten some of it back, but I don't have the majority of my. I don't walk very well anymore. I'm not supposed to walk more than like 200 feet. Um, I mean, I use a cane whenever I'm outside and things. I have a rollator for any type of real distance.
Right, right.
Kind of like a walker with wheels, if anyone
Yep,
doesn't know.
yep.
Um, and yeah, that's, I've done lots of physical therapy. I have the strength, but the nerves from my brain to my feet to make them work correctly are shot to hell.
Yep, yep. And that's MS.
Hmm.
Yeah, one of my good buddies has a MS that I went to high school with, and his manifested early. It manifested while he was still in high school. Um, but he's apparently there's been a hell of a lot of improvement in the meds and whatever. So
Oh, the meds are great for it right now.
he's
Um,
doing pretty good with it.
England is supposedly close to a cure.
Oh, that would be awesome. I would love to see it cured.
So annoying.
Yeah, I'm sure you would.
Probably wouldn't get anything back from it, but at least I wouldn't have to worry about further relapsing and things. Because
Right, right.
you've got basically the way it is. If I have a relapse, like say this is where I'm at right now. If I get a relapse, I drop down. I'll
Hmm.
never get back to that height. Going back up, I've lost that. It's gone.
Right, right.
So
And
I
that
was,
blows.
yeah, I was given doctor's orders to draw. That's like when I was in the hospital for a while. Actually, I was moved over to uh, the recovery place. I'm blanking on the name right now of what it's called. Um, Basically, where you get like therapy and things like that to try to
Re-
rebuild you.
Rehab,
Rehab.
physical
Yeah,
therapy.
rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was moved back. I was moved over to rehab after a few weeks, and I was there for a few weeks. Um, and while I was there, the neuropsychologist saw I was drawing because I had my art stuff with me. I had some friends drop all my art stuff off because I was going to be there for so
Absolutely.
damn long.
Absolutely.
And so I was sketching, and I was like, "Oh, you draw?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "You should keep doing that because it'll keep building up your the nerves
Hmm.
from your brain and everything because it's so creative. So keep
Hmm.
drawing because
Yeah.
and that's when I basically reinvested myself and really try to get my art to the level it's at now.
Good, good. Yeah, Parkinson's has been shown to respond to, of all things, riding a bicycle.
Huh, that's
If you
interesting.
there's a documentary about it. If you apparently if they ride a bicycle for what is it, an hour of riding a bicycle will give them 2 hours of asymptomatic uh, movement, motor kinetics.
Oh, that's cool.
I know. I was blown away by that. I was like, who'd have thunk it? But not a stationary bike. You actually have to be up on a bicycle.
Fair enough. Well, keeping balance and all that—that's
Yeah.
deal. So
Yep. I'm not buying any Vegas trips today. Thank you very much for your incessant scamming. God loves you. I love you. I already took one of your cruises, bro.
I haven't been to Vegas in years.
I have never been to Vegas, and I have no desire to go to Vegas ever.
Vegas is fun. I mean, I'm not into gambling, but the shows and restaurants are awesome.
Yep, yep. Hey, good stuff. What's up, buddy? Good to see you.
I really like stage magic, so I go to all the magicians.
I don't doubt that I would enjoy the shows. Um, it's just there's just something about it. I don't care for it.
No. Well, you don't want to go off the strip, so
Oh yeah,
hey, good stuff.
yeah.
Hmm.
Good to see you guys. We're doing the best we can to pinch hit for Pops this morning. He's got a power outage. He couldn't even power's completely out, so he couldn't even contact any of us to let us know. He did get in touch with Rich. I reached out to Rich. He told me. I said, "Well, you know what? In the spirit of the madness, the show must go on. So as humble as my little channel is, here we are."
It's fine. I'm good for hanging out for a bit.
Yeah,
It's all good.
yep. So, Amit, how is the weather over your side of the world, brother? Yeah, I know there's nothing to remind you of how dependent you are on modern technology and electricity like a good old power outage.
Yeah,
When
power
something,
just suck.
yeah, when you're running around going, I know I have a candle here somewhere.
What was it? And because of it's getting on towards summer, it's even worse for me because heat's a trigger for MS symptoms.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
I pretty much live with the AC on all summer.
Hmm.
I mean, I can't deal with humidity. Anything that makes me feel hot will knock me on my ass. So, like, I'm blasting my AC right now. I think it's 76, but that's too hot for me. Like,
Right.
it would be, I just have all the windows open and a fan on, but nope, can't do that anymore. So, literally, if I lose my power, I have to go find a
Go
cooling
find
center.
power.
Well, I have
Go
to go
find,
find a cooling center. Usually, I just go to the library or something.
yeah.
But,
Must find AC.
yeah.
Now, I
What I
am,
used to be able to do is go to a movie. So,
yeah.
I'm making an investment with a timeshare.
Yeah, I told you, I've already got one in Fiji that I actually use.
I don't know. I had some friends who had some bad luck with timeshares.
Timeshares are always a bad idea unless you know the person you're timesharing with.
Yeah, my mom has one um, for a place in New Hampshire. Um, it's been in the family for years. My grandmother had them, and my mother has one or two of the same place, which I like because I can slip up there for a weekend and disappear.
Heck yeah. Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take you to Bermuda. Something. I
Um,
forget the rest of
Along
it,
Pretty Monday.
Montego.
I know that stupid song.
Now that's going to be stuck in my head.
Mm,
Thanks, good stuff.
well, it's nothing compared to when I was hanging out on Dave Finch's stream last night, and Meredith had to go. It's the final countdown, Dave, and then like seriously, like everybody was like
Oh,
doo doo doo
do, 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 do.
Like, yep, and everybody now has Europe stuck in their head.
Yeah. I usually fight a song stuck in my head that I don't want with one that I don't mind. So, like, one of the ones that'll get stuck in your head is Rockin' Robin. He walks through the treetops all day long, hopping and a bopping and a singing his song.
I had the
Oh,
Michael Jackson version of that, the Jackson 5 Motown version, stuck in my head for so goddamn long. It wouldn't come. But,
that or the Hawaii Five-O theme song.
oh
Doot,
god,
doot, 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 dun, 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 dun,
I hate you.
dun.
Thought we were friends.
I have not heard.
25-0. Just-
I've never heard the Camel Toe song.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's playing everywhere right now. But Stranger Things does that. I mean, the
Hmm.
last season, it was Never-Ending Story,
Right,
and
right.
that scene was epic. That was the best part of the entire season. It was so good.
Now, I have not yet watched the new season. My wife has.
It's really good.
I've been working pretty nonstop on on. I'm doing a backup story for Rex. I'm ghosting one, and I have my own book, so I haven't really had time. Oh, let's welcome Mr. Mike Walters.
Like,
Good
what?
morning, Mike.
Mr.
Good
Mike,
morning,
what?
Mike.
Aruba, Jamaica.
God, not
Ooh,
you.
I
Ooh, I
wanna
wanna
take
take
ya.
you to Bermuda,
Bermuda,
Bahamas.
Bahamas, come
Come
on,
on,
pretty
pretty
mama.
We're gonna
mama.
get
To
demonetized and
Largo,
copyright strike because of
Montego.
this.
Ooh, I
Not with our
wanna
singing. We
go
won't.
That's
to
probably
the
true.
Kokomo. Take it fast or we can take it slow. That's where we wanna go. On
Way
a
down in
Kokomo.
Kokomo.
Figured I'd
Good
help you out
morning.
with that.
Good morning, Mike.
Morning. Hey Doc, thanks for dropping in last night.
Oh, my pleasure. My
Would you like
pleasure.
to tell everybody why I just said that?
I don't know.
Well, remember it was it was the
150th episode. Yeah.
not 150th episode, 150 subscribers.
Oh, that's right. 150 subscribers over on Mike
Oh, nice.
Walters, the Mike Stand, where he
Mhm.
I should
does.
probably go subscribe then. Be 151.
He drop your link, Mike.
All right.
I'm pretty sure I gave you a wrench.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Amit. It's the best season since season 1.
Yeah, I've got to see it.
Yeah.
Season one was
I
amazing.
and I enjoyed the other 2 seasons. They just weren't as strong as 1. But season 4 was amazing, and there's 2 more episodes left. So
Oh well, I'm gonna wait for him to finish so I can binge
yeah,
watch.
July 1st they dropped the last 2 episodes, and they're
Yeah.
like 2 hours each.
Oh,
So they're going out with a bang, and it has been renewed for a 5th season, which I believe is going to be the final season.
well, they're gonna be old people by the time this is done.
Yeah, they're not very believable as freshmen in high school. Just
Yeah, it's always hard when you have kids as the cast like Harry Potter. They did a good job of moving that one along quick enough to where the kids didn't age out.
yeah. Well, the good thing was they filmed 2 of them back to back, pretty much. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah,
I mean, you could tell they got a little older in between them, but it wasn't
yeah.
terrible. And then
Yeah,
3
it-
came out, and you're like, huh?
It looked congruent. Their aging
Yeah.
looked congruent because they do start at 11.
Yep.
Oh God, involuntary stretch. Oh, and of course Jackson was a genius for filming all of the Lord of the Rings movies at one time.
Oh
He,
god, yeah. The-
he wasn't going to have his cast age out or die on him. He's like, no, we're getting it all done.
they're all still alive too. Well, Christopher Lee isn't, but for the
Right.
most part, they're all still around.
Yeah.
Then you did The Hobbit, and the less we say about that, the better.
No comment. No. All I will say is Bilbo was well cast. That's
Yeah, I
it.
agree. Bilbo was well cast, and
That's it though. That's the only props I'm giving that thing.
the sequence when they did the what is it? I can't remember the name of the song that they sing, but it's "Far Over the Misty Mountains."
Yeah,
When they
yeah.
do basically the song of the dragon attack and everything.
Yeah.
That was epic.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, when I saw that in the trailer, I'm like, oh, I'm so seeing this. This is going to be great. This is crap.
Yep. I got catfished right into that thing. But I also like the Rankin Bass version of that song.
I do too.
That was
The
my
original Hobbit one.
first exposure to The Hobbit back in the 70s.
That was my first exposure to The Hobbit because they used to play it on like WLVI all the time. And
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, you'll like this. You like
We
fantasy.
watched it at school. And I was blown away. I'm like, and so the teacher said, these are books. She told us the whole story. I did not, strangely enough, read The Hobbit first. I read The Lord of the Rings first.
Let's see. I read The Hobbit first, but I basically after the book came out. After the cartoon came out, I couldn't read yet when it came out. That was one of the first books I read though, when I could competently read.
Yeah, it was hard for me to get going on the Fellowship as a kid, but once I think, let's see, once I made it past a long expected party, boom, I was up and running. And
took me Strider. As soon as I hit Strider,
yeah,
it went.
Once I had to sit down with a dictionary to make it. But again, I was only in I think, third grade. See you guys. We're doing the best we can. Oh. Let's mute that. Because the last thing I want to hear is the sound of my own voice.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, I know, right?
The sound of my own voice annoys me because I sound too deep.
Well, I hope that wasn't me because I had gone over to share the link, but I didn't realize that I paused the video on the YouTube screen when I did.
It's an oops.
It happens. It's a whoopsie. I hate when I sound nasal as I do right now because I'm not awake enough to have I didn't do my vocal warm-ups, the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips, the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. Pelican.
Yep, I'm aware of it.
Hey Doc, did you like just begin just before I came in?
Yes, I did.
Okay, that's what. Well, because I want to remind everybody if they can help the stream out by liking and sharing the stream, so we see if we can get some more friendly people in here. That would probably be very. I'm sure Doc would really appreciate that.
Shadowhawk.
Absolutely. Good morning, Shadowhawk. Link is pinned at the top if you want to pop in, and let's welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Glenn Fleming.
Hi, everybody.
Glenn. All right. Hey, Glenn.
Hi, Glenn.
A legend in my own front room. How are you doing?
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I saw RJ's interview with you when you were talking about Jack Kirby.
All right,
yeah. Your experiences with that. One of the funny things is right now we're in the on my channel with my historical comic retrospect. We're still in the late 30s, so I'm actually I've been going over some of Jack Kirby's early works in association with Fiction House. One of the stories I've been following in that particular from Jumbo Comics was the weird sequel to the supernatural feature, The Secret Diary of Dr. Hayward, which Kirby was writing under the pseudonym, I believe, Kurt Davis or Lou Fine, one of the two. So, little interesting trivia tidbit there. It's actually a pretty good story.
Well, Glenn, good afternoon to you over in jolly old England, across the pond.
It's summertime now because everybody's cutting the lawn and drilling and doing all this kind of crap that just drives me crazy.
Oh, I know the
feeling. Why don't they just be quiet and enjoy it? Everybody has to get out and cut the lawn for 3 hours.
There was somebody using a chainsaw at 7 in the morning on Saturday. I wanted to go out and kill them.
And what they do, you see, is that next doors do this a lot. What they do is they'll cut the grass and they don't like me because I never cut my grass. My grass is 15 feet high.
Oh my God.
I've got things to do. I'm not here to cut grass. It's not really that at all. But you understand what I mean. It needs doing. It always needs cutting. But theirs is like a carpet. It's brilliant. But what they're doing is, you see, they're setting up the barbecue for the weekend, and all their bloody family will land.
Yeah.
And it just drives you crazy. I'm just not very sociable with the neighbours.
Well, in the early 2000s, when I worked for a construction company for a bit, I did all their IT work, and
Oh me.
I would go out Friday nights with a bunch of my friends and go to the movies, have a few drinks, that type of thing. Then I'd get home and I would crash until mid-afternoon on Saturdays.
Yeah.
During the summer, the neighbor would go out at like 7:30, 8 in the morning and start mowing his lawn.
Yeah.
My father's like, my daughter's upstairs. She's trying to sleep. She's.
Yeah.
Could you at least put it off to 10? Kind of do that. And he's like, oh, it doesn't bother them. I'm like, no, it does. I have to deal with it.
I'm one of those people.
One night I got home and it was late night, and I was like, oh. So I went over to his riding lawnmower and I removed the spark plugs.
Oh God.
And I just left him nearby. I just put him under his porch. It was right under the little deck he had, and then I went back. I went home, went to bed, and I slept great that night.
You'd have probably been in trouble over here for willful damage on that one.
Yeah, true story though.
Statute of limitations is well expired by now.
Yeah, my John Deere riding mower broke one of the brackets that holds the belt on the pulleys when the blades are engaged. So instead of spending the money to get it fixed, my wife bought an electric push mower. I'm like, oh joy, at my age I'm going back to a push mower and it's electric. Now mind you, she didn't want electric. It was battery powered. But because of the way the world is right now, you can't even find a push mower for cheaper than one of these things. So I used it. First of all, it's odd to be able to talk over the sound of a mower. Okay.
That is weird.
Things. My vacuum cleaner is louder. It cut wonderfully, but it only had enough power to cut 3/4 of my front yard. So I had to charge it overnight and then finish the next day.
Yeah, that sounds like a pain in the rear.
You see, I used to have a neighbour, and this is a while back, and he's one of these people he's retired. He was retired. He was about 70 or something, and he had plenty of time to do his garden. Now the only thing I do in the garden is cut the lawn. I just don't do gardening. And he was one of those people who likes to have a chat over the fence for 4 hours when you're halfway through cutting the bloody lawn. And I just used to turn my back on him and ignore him. And he said to me one day, he said, why won't you talk to me while you're cutting the lawn? I said, because the clue is I'm cutting the lawn. I don't want to chat with anyone. I just want to get it. I just want to get it done. But he's there, and do you know what he did? We used to share. You know what a bungalow is? We used to share a bungalow, a semi bungalow. So I got up on the roof one day, and I was cleaning out the gutters, right? Because they were full of moss and stuff like that. Cleaning out the gutters. Now the gutter was extended across the front of his property, so it was effectively the same. Well, it was the same gutter, and so obviously the moss and stuff had collected in his. And I thought, well, as an act of goodwill, I'll do his for him because he's 70. I'm up there, and I'll just do it. So I did it. So I thought, well, I'll do it. So what I did was, I did what I was doing with mine. I got a trowel and I just dug it out and I just threw it onto the ground to clean up later. Like, where am I going to put it? On the roof, right? Could have put it in a bag, I suppose. But anyway, I didn't think of that. So I just cleared it out and I put all it. And I thought, well, I'm not having his moss. So I just dropped it onto his front porch, whatever it was, and just just cleaned it out, and he went bananas. And I said to him, I said, I just spent an hour on your roof cleaning out your gutters, and you're telling me off about you know, why don't you just say thank you? But you could have cleaned it up. You could have put it in a bag. You could have cleaned it up. I said, I tell you what, I won't do it again.
Yeah.
And
I would have offered to put it back.
yeah.
I can put it back in the gutter.
I am lucky I got to use the whole I'm a girl and don't have to mow the lawn. My brother, on the other hand, he did.
Well,
and I remember he was like, well, what does she have to do? And I'm like, I do the dishes. I don't want to. Do you want to clean up after you? I'll put it bluntly, though. Doing the dishes is much better.
Yes, I'd rather do
I
that.
can just wash them and then put them into the dishwasher.
I got my nephew. I paid him $50 just to take the leaf blower up onto the roof and blow the roof off and blow the gutters out. I live in the bottom of a little valley with a creek running through it, and all the trees hang over my house. So this is a necessity. It's not a. He's up there and he's just about finished. And he said, will you hold the ladder for me? I have terrible balance. I fall all the time. And then I looked. He had tied, this is how dumb my nephew was. He had tied the extension cord around his waist in case he fell. Like that was going to do anything. It's plugged in down here.
If anything, it's more likely to pull him down even worse.
I said, look, I know thinking's not your strong suit. But I really need to, I want you to walk me through how you think that was going to work for you. And he went, oh, I don't know. I didn't think about it.
That's obvious.
Yeah, that's very clear.
Yeah, it's just dumb as a box of rocks. God love him. I hope he's not watching. He'll get offended. But like I called him, when was it? A couple of weeks ago.
Well, being told that you're as dumb as a box of rocks on a live stream that is probably going around the world, probably isn't something he'd be too happy about. I don't think that'd be something anybody.
Listen, I don't think he's smart enough to find YouTube.
I'm going to use that, Mike. A box of rocks.
I think that's something that Doc said, though. I was just reading what rocks.
Box of rocks. We say as mad as a box of frogs.
Yeah. He's going yumpy.
That sounds British.
Yeah.
Well, Glenn, it's like after 5 where you're at, right? It's getting close to dinner time where you're at.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Is it
he was convinced where we're at in the state, we have a clay and then granite substrate. He was convinced that his yard, which is on a mountainside, had a sinkhole because of some water runoff around roots, and that the whole house was going to get swallowed up. He was freaked out for weeks about this. So I came over with a stick and a goniometer. Now, anyone know what a goniometer is?
No.
A goniometer is a medical tool we use in physical therapy to measure the angle of extension and retraction of a hinge joint. It has nothing to do with geology. But I went out there and I said, no, you don't have a sinkhole, you're fine. And he was like, oh God, because I was worried. I'm like, okay, well, you can rest easy now. A goniometer, ladies.
I thought you were going to say he fell into a sinkhole the following week.
That would be hilarious.
Yes, it would.
It would have been fantastic.
I would definitely laugh. I would make sure you were doing okay, but I would definitely laugh.
Yeah, I'd help you out of there, but I would not be able to stop laughing. But the idea that granite is going to have a sinkhole. If you've ever heard of Stone Mountain, it's the largest granite monolith in the world. Yeah, it's in the foothills of that. It's still part of it.
Yeah,
it's not going to sink.
So that's going to be the only thing left when everything else happens. It's going to be that Stone Mountain's not going to move, is it?
Right. But I mean,
I'm just waiting for Yellowstone Park to go off. That's going to pop, isn't it? That's the end
Yeah,
of the world, isn't it?
I watched the documentary about the super volcano. You know what would happen if Yellowstone let go, and I watched the danger map, and it stops just short of where I live. I'm like, hey, I'm in a perfect place, and it'll wipe California out.
Well, I went to California. I went to Palm Springs. I went up this. There's a mountain that looks like Abraham Lincoln from the side. Have you seen that?
I have
And
not.
so I went up there on a one of those things that you go on skiing on, one of them trolley things up on the wires, you know.
The
Yeah.
lift.
And when you look down, you can see where the San Andreas Fault is because of the different vegetation.
Yeah,
And you think, and I've read that when this goes, and it will, it's about 100 years overdue or something. The Pacific Ocean will wash up in Arizona. California will disappear. And I'm thinking, how could anybody live here knowing that?
we keep waiting. God has shown that He does not like California. Fires, earthquakes, drought, mudslides, rock slides.
Well,
Take
with the leadership we have here, with the many people, including I've even more recently started calling it. We don't really call it California anymore. We call it California.
Yeah, it's horrible. God doesn't like California. I have already purchased some beachfront property in Arizona. Just waiting for it to happen.
Well, from my
I just kind of wish I had the means to get out of California, but I'm still saving up money to invest.
Yeah.
from my experience of life, I don't think God likes any of us. But there you go. That's just me.
After reading the Bible a few times, I don't think God likes anyone either.
Yeah.
It's kind of a dick in the Old Testament.
I had a unique experience in that I lived in California for 2 years, and when I was in the military, and never experienced an earthquake. And then here in Georgia, I experienced my first earthquake, and it was several years ago. And I was up early, and I was sitting, and the house started shaking, and I thought, oh, the wife must be doing laundry, and the washing machine's off kilter. So I didn't think anything about it. This is how long it lasted. It wasn't intense, but it lasted a minute. So I went out on the front porch to feed the dog, and when I stepped down on the ground, it was still going. And I was like, oh, this is an earthquake. And then it was over.
Wow.
I remember there was an earthquake a few years ago when I was living in Rhode Island. And
Where?
Rhode Island.
Okay.
It's a suburb of Boston.
Yeah.
So they hate it when I say that, but I'm a Bostonian through and through. So, yeah, I was living in Rhode Island for a while. That's where I worked. So I'm down there, and there was an earthquake, and I lived on the third floor of my apartment building. Felt the whole building shake, and I was insanely sick because I was home from work and everything, and I was feeling like garbage, and I'm like, what now?
Plagues, earthquakes, fires. Mike, you live in California.
Mm-hmm.
So have you experienced earthquakes?
Yeah, we've experienced a few, and remember, I'm 46, so it's kind of funny because one of the most memorable. Well, okay, so we've had two of them in my lifetime, particularly from when I was younger. There was the '87 quake, and then there was the '94 Northridge quake.
I was thinking the '87 quake because I remember when that happened. The '94 I vaguely remember.
Yeah, the '87 quake. It's kind of funny because now, Doc, you know this, but I know Glenn and Allie don't know me as well. But I was in special ed, when I was younger, and then I, eventually the school year of 1987-88. I was. Let me check something on, because I know I'm hearing an echo, and it sounds like it's coming from me. Oh, it's not the YouTube though. Okay.
No, you're all right.
All right. But anyways, so I was in special ed as a kid, and then when they fully mainstreamed me in the school year of '87-88, that was my 7th grade year. Now the school I went to is across the street from my house here. It used to be an elementary school back when we didn't have middle schools or junior highs, and now we have middle schools again. That came about in '94. But in '87, first day of school, right? I'm getting ready for school, and we have an earthquake. And I still end up going to school. So
If you got to get out of school, you may as well go big.
yeah.
Remember within the first couple of weeks when I was in 6th grade, teachers went on strike. It was great.
Yeah, you're not scaring me, baby.
I think the last earthquake we had was about 1984, and it was about, I think it was 1 on the Richter scale. But it rocked the bed because we don't get those. This is why England's God's own country, you see, because there's no earthquakes.
Yeah, and it was rare for us too. I didn't even know. Apparently, there is a fault here south of the Appalachians.
There's a huge fault in Massachusetts and stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently,
this one's kind of small, and when it slipped, it was a whoopsie.
I'll tell you where there's no fault.
Right here, no fault.
No, Amber Heard.
She took a grumpy.
She doesn't stop, does she?
I loved the meme.
She's too dumb to stop.
I love the meme that said it's her picture. She goes, "I'm the only one that gave a shit in this relationship."
Did you watch that trial? Did you watch it?
Just a few bits and pieces.
There was a great.
I honestly, granted, I get why I get Tug's thing for it. I get the whole idea of the whole. Okay, Johnny Depp does need and deserve due process just like everybody else does. But honestly, I personally think our country would do a lot better if let's say somebody was just to drop a nuke on Hollywood. Quite honestly, if somebody was to just drop a nuke right on Hollywood and just obliterate it, we'd be a better world.
Well, can't say anything after that.
Yeah, I'm not really up for the, murder of potentially millions just for the hell of it. So,
and think of all those people in California who don't like Hollywood either. You're going to wipe them out as well because they live next door.
Well, sometimes the only way to deal with evil is to just eliminate it.
There's a few dictators who had similar ideas.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I think there's probably more people in California who aren't evil than are.
Yeah, there's dicks everywhere. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, where do you start? Where do you stop? It's one of those things, isn't it? So, but I understand what you mean, but I don't know whether I go with it or not. Just close the place down, Well,
I'm more direct and abrupt. So.
Well, that's fair enough.
Doc, did you hear what I just said?
Can't hear a word you're saying.
Are you muted?
It's like he's muted or something.
No, I'm just fucking with you.
Oh.
Wow.
What did you say, Mike? What did I miss?
Well, they caused some controversy with the other two because I basically just said, tongue in cheek, of course, that I thought the world would do a lot better. We'd be a better world if somebody was to drop a nuke on Hollywood.
Yeah. The problem is, though, they film most movies now right here where I live.
Most things are filmed in Georgia for tax reasons.
Yes, they moved here.
It's kind of funny.
Listen, hold on. The thing is, Georgia has everything that California has as far as climate, topography, including desert. We've got swamps, we've got ocean, we've got mountains, we've got plains, and we've got better taxes and better governance. So they discovered that, and they've moved here. And here in the little town I live in, there's literally plaques in the street for every TV show and movie that's been filmed here. And you'll walk for a few miles. You wouldn't believe how many have been filmed here and how many TV shows. Marvel loves it here.
Oh, yeah. Disney films a lot in Georgia, just in general.
Yep.
The other
Walking Dead. And...
Yeah. the other
Actually,
thing,
I'd heard that some studios were actually considering boycotting filming in Georgia because
Yeah,
of policies.
they tried it, but it didn't work. The taxes breaks are just too good.
well, I know, was it one of the recent Marvel movies didn't have the Georgia apple on it, so they didn't film that there.
It was one of the TV shows. They didn't film Moon Knight here.
No, it was one of the movies. I was in the theater. I can't remember which one though.
Well, I don't either. But
Might have been the Eternals, but then again, they filmed that everywhere. But
yeah,
Georgia probably.
yeah, they filmed. What's the Hunger Games was filmed here. Most of the Marvel movies and TV shows. DC filmed the Watchmen TV show here, which was interesting to see because my favorite hangout, my coffee shop, is in there, but they put a false front on it to make it look like a Saigon street. Uh, but interestingly enough, they didn't have to modify the place next door because it's been owned by Asians since the 70s, selling wigs and whatever. They just left it alone.
Actually, another city that's pretty well known for being considered I think a pretty good filming locale, I believe, is Vancouver up in Canada. Vancouver,
Yeah,
British
Vancouver and Toronto are big places for filming, especially TV shows. If you look
Yeah.
back on
I know. I think in both
every
cases,
show is
I think
filmed
they use those for Highlander, the '90s Highlander series.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they used it for that. Forever Night was actually set in Toronto. It's like one of the first shows that wasn't trying to be in New York.
Exactly.
Some of the scenes shot for the first Captain America film were shot in Manchester, where I live, because the buildings are like 30s New York.
Yep. It's what did they say? Toronto is New York's clean stunt double. So you need a stand-in that's cleaner and nicer than New York. You use Toronto.
It was like
So, Doc, you're filling in for Pops this morning, huh?
Yeah, apparently Pops had a power outage, and I had that moment, and what the hell, did I forget? Did I get my timing wrong? And I PM Pops, like, what the hell? Nothing. He didn't even see it, And then I reached out to Rich, and he said, he's got a power outage. I was like, okay, I'm not happy that Pops has a power outage. I'm happy that I didn't screw up somehow.
Yeah, I messaged him too, so he hadn't gotten back to me. Then I heard from Doc, and I was like, oh, well, this works.
So here we are.
I saw you were on, so I did pop in for a little bit here. But as I told you before, I'm usually just getting up around this time, so I will probably be getting off to kind of.
It's like 9:30 where you are, so.
Yeah. So, but I just need to pop in and hang out for a little while. But I've got to get going. But before I do, let me just check one more thing. Yeah, just as a nice little reminder for everybody. If you can like and share the stream so that we can get more people in here and all that, that'd be appreciated.
Good morning, Tree Goblin. Good to see you, brother.
That's Tree Goblin.
Tree Goblin's over in your part of the world, Glenn.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
And with that, Doc, I shall see you all later. I'll be heading out now.
All right, Mike. You take care. Have a great day.
See you,
All
Mike.
right,
Nice to meet you. See you later.
You too, Glenn.
I think I've just been hit by a load of bots. I've got a message unavailable. I have an indie comic that I can't talk about. Okay, and somebody whose name I can't pronounce says hello. Another one, hello there, Glenn. Somebody else is unavailable. Hey, Glenn. Hi. Where the fuck have all? I'm sorry. Where all this stuff come from?
Where's that? I mean, what platform is that showing up on?
It's on the Messenger thing. Oh, there's millions of them. It's got spam. There's about.
It's probably spam.
Well, it is. About 50,000 on. Bloody hell.
Oh my God!
All from young ladies who look like they're from New York, but they're probably from Bali or somewhere.
Yeah. I think one of the best spam emails I ever got was I was still in like high school, and I had an email address. It was like when Hotmail was new, and I got spam for Viagra. And I'm like, yes, that's something I'll definitely need.
Kind of tried to lean the other way with that. Thank you very
And I was
much.
like, 17. I'm like, so a
Yeah.
17-year-old girl
Yeah.
needs Viagra.
Did you see
What?
Ricky Gervais the other day? He's upset everybody again. Did you see him?
No.
He's got this show going, and apparently Twitter and all the lefties and all that lot have all gone crazy again, like they do, because he said he's talking about women. He says, "Oh, women." He says, "Do you remember women?" He says, "I like women." He said, "The old ones with wombs."
Yes.
And he's going on about stuff like that. It's dead funny. It's really funny. And they're all going crazy because apparently men can have periods.
Tree Goblin says, I can see Jabba from my house. And
I definitely know a few men who have periods.
And he says he's in Bristol.
Right.
So I don't know how far that is from you, Glenn.
That's about 150 miles south of me, southwest.
You're in Sussex, right?
No, I'm in Manchester.
That's what I said, Manchester.
I'm in Lancashire.
Okay, all right.
It's near Liverpool.
Yeah, yep. I said when I was going to buy my narrowboat, I was going to be over toward Chester, on the west coast, because the canal that I wanted to home port out of was there.
Well, about 30 odd years ago, I went on a canal boat, and it took us 2 days to get from a place called Knutsford, which is in Cheshire, which is south of me. I went in this guy's boat, borrowed this guy's boat, and we went down, and it took us 3 days to get to Chester. It's about 40 miles, if that.
Yep.
And then when we got to Chester, we only had a week travel. It took us 3 days to get there, and we were going to go through, but the guy said, we were talking to this guy, and he said, "Don't do it, because when turn around and go back, because it's obviously going to take you 3 days to get back." And he said it will take you a full day to get through all the
step ladder locks,
all the locks. Yeah.
There's 12 locks.
Yeah,
12 locks right there.
you know how those things work. Well, it's impossible to open the lower one when the full, until you've got to level it all up and all that. Well, this guy actually did, and he flooded this little village.
Oh my God!
It's never been known in the history of mankind. He didn't close it. He didn't close it to the last notch.
Oh my God!
So it had you couldn't see the gap, but as you know, water can, and it was spewing out, and all these people were coming out of the shops, and it flooded the entire.
Whoa!
Yeah. And my ex, she was in the boat. They were, when they go in the boat, the long boats and the smaller boats, then they pack about 4 in, and then they do a lock up with 4 in. Well, she went in. She drove. I said, "I'll do it if you want." She said, "No, it's all right." She drove it in with these 3 other boats, and this guy left this thing open, and this thing just went down like that.
Yeah.
And she was scared to death, and when it hit the bottom, they couldn't get out because they were literally on the bottom.
Yeah.
And the ladder, you know how deep? Well, they're not. Some of them are not very deep, but this thing's about 20 foot deep.
Yeah,
and they were all at the bottom of the area, and the ladder that you could get out started 10 feet above them.
Yeah.
So they couldn't get the ladder. So we had to wait for about 3 hours while this thing filled up again and just brought all the boats to the top.
Somebody had forgotten. One of my guys that I'm friends with over there, he was parked in what's called the pound, which is an area between locks that is actually its levels controlled by the locks.
Right.
And they woke up and the boat was listing to port.
Oh my God.
Someone had forgotten to close one of the lower gates, and the pound had drained on them.
Well,
jeez.
This boat I was in, it wasn't a long boat. It was more like a yacht type of thing. Obviously, it wasn't that big, but it was about
a cruiser.
15, about 15 feet long. It was a nice little thing.
Yeah,
and we borrowed it. Anyway, we're coming back, and we have bridges across them, and they're like single bridges, and you pull them.
Yeah.
To pass underneath.
Yep.
So what would happen? My ex, which she would, when we approached one of these things, I would jump on the shore, run to it, pull it up. She'd take it through, then I'd just lower it again and then carry on. That's what you do. Right. So there's a boat in front of us, and on this boat we followed this boat up, and on this boat is Mum and Dad and a 16-year-old girl and a 14-year-old lad, right
Uh-huh.
in front, and we're approaching the bridge.
I remember
Now,
16.
yeah. Now, what you do is, or what I would do, I tend to not ignore the other people on the canal and not be sort of disrespectful, but get on
Right.
with what I'm doing. So I would have got off, pulled the bridge up, let my craft through, and then lowered it again, and they'd have to do the same.
Mhm.
No, this guy shouts back, "My kids will hold the bridge while we both go through." So his kids, 16 and 14, get off, run
Yeah.
to the bridge, pull it up. He goes underneath, and they let go to get on their craft. And if we would have been a foot further on, I wouldn't be here now, because the bridge
Wow.
just fell on top of it and smashed it all to fucking pieces. And
Uh,
they just carried on.
Yeah, jeez. That's those were obviously somebody renting a boat that don't know their
I think they were renting a brain and forgot.
yeah.
You know.
I don't
Yeah,
think they
but
were renting one. I think they returned it. It didn't fit. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I was watching one of my boat tubers, and you know, a narrowboat is really just a home that moves very slowly.
Yeah.
When it becomes a boat is when they actually go on the Thames, or
Right.
you know, they have to
Right.
actually go out in the ocean and
Oh.
come back up. Then it becomes a boat, and you
Yeah.
discover they're not the best seagoing vessels in the
No,
world.
not at all, no. The worst thing for us was every morning about 4 o'clock in the morning, you'd hear this tapping on the windows, and it was the swans.
Yep, yep,
You know, feed us, get up,
Yep.
feed us. It's light, it's dark, it's dawn. Get up, feed us, and they'd
Yep.
peck on the window, little round windows, you know, and
Yeah.
drive you crazy. You know,
swans are assholes.
yes, they
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
They literally have narrowboats have what's called a swan hatch, and it's
Right.
usually in the kitchen, and it's a double. It opens up, and the swans they just know they come over there. You're going to feed them,
Yeah.
and it's a chicken or egg thing. You know what came first, swan hatches or the swan? You know, and my my one buddy, he calls them his arch nemesis, the swans, because they will play chicken with narrowboats. Because they all belong to the queen and they know they're protected, and the boat's coming at them. You know, they'll always veer off at the last second.
Yeah.
But they play chicken with narrowboats. And my one guy, he yelled at him. He goes, "This canal was built by man, for man. It's not yours."
Well, I think pterodactyls are still alive, because this morning when I was taking Helen to work, this bird swooped across the windshield as I'm driving along, and it's like, what the bloody hell was that? And it was like, it was the biggest thing you've ever seen. It was huge. I don't know what. I think it was dive bombing me. I don't know what it was. I don't know. It just appeared and then went, you know, from the side across. You know, it's like, and it's one of those things that you must have done this when you're driving and things. When something happens, and it's a good job it wasn't sort of coming at you, because there's no way you could have avoided it.
Right.
It's only because you survived that you realised that you nearly died. If you know what I mean. 'Cause I suppose when you die, you don't know, do you? You don't think, "Oh, I'm dead."
I have a
I
hawk
bet they
that
are.
nests above me.
You have, say again.
A hawk, a red-tailed
Oh,
hawk that nests
right.
above me. And I went out to my car. This is how I found out about it. That it's a broken window in the above me. So I'm like, that's odd, because the hawk is inside, and that's not usually how they nest. So I was just like, well, out of the rain. But it would squawk at me and things. So I was like, oh, okay. Then occasionally I can look outside and I can see the cute little squirrel die.
We have those.
We have a family of owls living on our property.
I got one of those too.
Now, you don't realize quite how big and spooky these things are until you see them up close in the wild. And
Owls can be big.
yeah, and Tacey and I went out to the car the other day, and she goes, "Oh, look, there's the owl," and he was in the pecan tree in our front yard. And I couldn't see him, and then I finally locked onto him, and he was looking at me doing the whole
Yeah.
Bob in the head thing.
yeah. And she goes, "Oh, there's the big one." Now he was over in the oak in the side yard, and I could not see that one until I went over and I stood, and she was pointing. I looked up her finger, and there it was. Sweet Jesus! I was terrified these things were going to carry off my Chihuahua.
They could.
But then I researched the owls in my area. They won't attack anything they can't eat, and they can't swallow a Chihuahua. So I was like,
Wow.
okay, thank God. But having said that, one morning, a few years ago before I retired, I was getting ready to leave. I was going to work, and it was pre-dawn. Well, there's a feral rooster that's waking up. I have a weeping cherry tree in the front yard. He's in there. And he wakes up, and I look at the owls over there, and I thought, I'm willing to be late for work to watch this. Nothing happened because I didn't know then that they wouldn't eat the rooster or attack the rooster because they couldn't eat it. But I wanted to see that go down. It's like, this is my chance to have Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom happen right here in my front yard. But it didn't happen. Yeah, a gray owl will take a dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, owls are one of the few things that hunts skunks.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have no sense of smell. So,
Yeah. Listen,
Well, they must have eaten them all here because we don't have skunks.
we got 'em.
we have a few here, and in the Southern Appalachians, or Appalachians, however you want to say it, they
Whatever.
call them polecats.
Oh,
And,
right, yeah.
and the old folks will go, "Oh, somebody hit a polecat." That means somebody farted in the car. God,
That sounds about right.
There's always one, isn't there?
yes, always one. My father, I'm going to tell on him. He's passed away, but I told these when he was alive, so I get a pass. My father had gotten overweight in the 70s, and hey, Rian, and he could not lose the weight. So he had, back then they didn't have banding. They had intestinal bypass surgery. So he had the intestinal bypass surgery, and it worked. He lost a lot of weight. He got thin again, but it gave him chronic flatulence of an order of magnitude to not be measured with existing technology. My father could fart his alma mater. My father could fart Dixie. Okay, they were long, they were loud, and they were poisonous. And he had asked me one time. He was a coach. He was taking the basketball team down for a tournament. And he said, "Follow me down in the
You
car."
told me
So,
this one.
yeah, so I have a way to get around. And I said, "Okay." So we're on the interstate. We're cruising 75 miles an hour, and suddenly the emergency flashers on the bus light up, and it pulls over, and I pulled over too, of course. And the basketball team got off, gasping for air, and one of them was retching over on the ditch.
Oh,
And my dad got off laughing and snickering because he thought it was funny. I mean, what are you going to do? It happened. But he said, I said, "What happened? You let one go on him?" He goes, "Look, they were playing the fart game. They put the windows up, and they were cranking out their little toots, and I told them to stop, and they wouldn't stop." He said, "I'm warning you, you want to stop. You don't want to escalate this with me." Now, my brother had been on that bus because he was on that basketball team. And my brother said, and then Dad kind of leaned to the side, and it sounded like he had locked the air brakes up. He said there was a deafening silence for a second as the team tried to figure out what that noise was. And they were all, "Ah!" So Dad had to pull over and let him off to get some air.
That's terrible.
That is wrong.
It's awful.
Wrong on so many levels. And very
It's-
funny.
It's awful but funny. He had a hard time when he was coaching. He was also the principal of the school he was at, and the assistant principal. My dad, before the word gaslighting was a thing, he was gaslighting him. He would go into the bathroom and try to ease one out, and of course, just the sheer volume of the thing and the odor. And he would go knock on the assistant principal's door, and he'd go, "Is there something wrong with you? Every time I go in the bathroom, it smells like something has died in there." And he had the whole staff believing it was the assistant principal that was doing this, and they were constantly trying to figure out who it was. And it was my dad the whole time.
Claim to fame, eh?
Now, he does.
You didn't have that problem with girls' sports teams.
My father was quite the coach. He I think he's the second winningest coach in Georgia high school athletics history. He went to a little tiny town called Pelham, Georgia. They contracted him. They had not only not had a winning season in 3 years, they had not won a game in 3 years. My father came down and 1 year gave them an undefeated season in the state championship. And so there was a big parade in his honor, and he got all these accolades. And then a huge contract came from another town that wanted the same thing. So that was our life. We always moved around with him doing this. He would go on to the next thing. So I never attended the same school 2 years in a row. We moved every year. And it was just so normal for us. We didn't think anything about it. So it was interesting to me that when I researched the old little Pelham High there, he's mentioned, but it's not like a big deal anymore. You know, they list these other achievements like we installed air conditioning. Like there's now a new water fountain. And it's like, are you shitting me? This is you. So I wrote him a letter and I said, let me remind you, blah, 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 blah. So I searched back a few weeks later and they had a big old thing. And now there's a wall with a thing at the school in his honor and all this, that, and the other. So yeah, let's don't forget, that the fart master was also a hell of a coach.
That works.
That was a long ass story. I apologize.
It's okay. It was kind of fun.
So what are you working on there, Alison?
I'll show you.
Oh yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, great.
Great pose.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's commission, the character commission. So
Okay. All right. Right on.
I draw people's D&D characters a lot. So
Cool. Look, if they pay, I'll draw anything.
that's yes.
Yes. Yes. Pay me, Glenn.
Yeah.
You got to show me some new hatch, brother. I know I'm a parasitic fiend when it comes to hatch.
Right. I shall just let me get some for you.
Okay.
Just talk amongst yourselves while I'm looking.
I will. Sometimes I talk to myself or my cats. It doesn't really matter. I get some conversation either way.
Yeah, Glenn will occasionally send me behind the scenes sneak peeks at Hatch. And
I've been working on animation. I finally got around to trying to get the animation done, and I've done a bit. I can't show you that. I'll send it to you later, but I can't. I don't know how to show it on this thing. But I can show you. I can show you. I don't know if I've actually shown you this. I've shown you this one.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
but not the bottom panels in color. Look at that.
Yeah, it looks great.
I love it. I love it. I got to know what's happening. I got to know Hatch's reaction to it.
Well, this is his reaction before his reaction, as it were.
Okay. Oh, hold it a little bit closer. So there he is, minding his own business.
He's reading his book about Greek gods, which is why he's got his Apollo suit on. So work that one out. And then, it's catches up with him. But I'll show you that later.
Oh man, that's awesome stuff. I'm
just working on the animation. I'm working in Blender on a grease pencil. It's really good, but I'm just having a few problems with it. It's my fault. I'm just clicking the wrong buttons and not getting it. And when I watch the tutorial, they don't actually. They sort of do 4 things and then tell you the one they're doing. Well, I want to know what the 4 things are.
Right.
Because his cursor's clicking around and I don't know what he's hitting, and this kind of thing. So I'm working it out. I've done a bit this morning, but it's not.
I like grease pencil a lot.
Yeah, it's I'm just have to get my head around it. But I did some animation the other day or yesterday. It's only a walking guy. I stole a template off Google of the walking poses,
Right.
And then drew my own on it, and then I did. What I think about traditional art and things like that.
Right.
Because I couldn't work out this blender, and I wasn't pulling my hair out. I've not got any, but I would have been pulling my hair out. I decided to do the way I know. So I put it in. I got the cells, got the drawings, and scanned them, and I put them into iMovie. and made an animated film. So
Made a
I'm
flip
thinking,
book. Yeah.
why am I bothering with this? Why don't I just do it this way? You know, why don't I just do it in iMovie, because it's just so easy.
Yeah.
But it's like everything. It's like everything else, isn't it? If you can do it, it's easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I know I'll crack this. I'm just a couple of clicks away, because I have to. I'm the kind of person who has to do things 17 times before I get it.
Yeah.
I don't have that retention thing. So if you show me something, I need to show me again and show me again and let me do it and show me and let me do it. But I've got nobody to show me, because, like I said, the guys on the tutorials are all brilliant. Seem to think that I know the first 6 things. And I don't.
Yes.
I don't know anything. I want them to tell me right from the beginning and slow down. Slow down. Yeah.
Step
slow
2,
down.
click on this.
Yeah.
I went through the same thing trying to learn to edit video, and because it's a necessity if you have a YouTube channel. Now I don't need it for this channel, but for my fine art channel, I needed it. And I did the same thing. I was watching YouTube videos. It goes, all right, once you've got this, that, and the other going on, then what you want to do is, I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
How do I get to where you're at?
Yeah.
And I can do it now. I found some user-friendly software that's pretty much idiot-proof. But even then, sometimes weirdness happens. And I'm like, what did I do?
Back in the 80s, a friend of mine was selling his Commodore. Is it a Commodore 59 or something? Really early game software. And we were going to buy it for my stepdaughter for her birthday, because she wanted one, and he was selling one. Commodore 64, is it? Something like that.
Yes.
And he had 50,000 games, and he charges like 20 quid for it. He charges nothing for it, and it was brilliant. And then it was driving me. And in those days, I mean, I can use a computer now. I've been using one since the early 90s, but I didn't know anything about computers, especially computer games. So he brought all this stuff around, and he said, what you do is you turn it on there, and then you go on the keyboard, and it comes on. And you can't. And I said, yeah, but what was all that?
Right.
What's that? And
right.
he said, oh, that's the code to enter it. I said, well, what is it? He said, it's that. What's that? And it was about 60 characters long, and slashes and asterisk and all. How would I know that? And he drove me crazy. And he had to write it down. He had to write it. Well, and then guess what? This 14-year-old kid who we bought it for didn't use it anyway. So it was a
yeah, that's how it works.
James Hayes and Marv, good to see you. The link is pinned
Marv,
at the top if you want to come in. James, always a pleasure to see you, sir. James is a fellow Southeasterner here in the U.S. Imagine my surprise when all of my life, because of bad animation in elementary school, of the pilgrims coming over from England, they just go, whoop, and they're here. In my mind, England was always parallel with New England. So it actually is parallel with Alaska.
Yeah.
So I was a little freaked out by this as an adult. I'm like, well, why is jolly old England lush and green and warm, and Alaska is always a frozen wasteland? Well, it's because of the Gulf Stream, and the continental winds. But I didn't know that. So I was talking to a guy when I was on active duty. We were training with the SAS, and I had to blurt it out. I was like, how is it possible for you guys to be parallel to Alaska, because Alaska had come up in the conversation, and not be a frozen wasteland? And he looked at me like I was the biggest idiot in the world, which I was. And he had to explain it to me, and I was like,
oh,
that's a lot to digest, but okay. So I get it now. But I said all that to say this. Portugal is on my bucket list, and that's where Marv is, Sin Killer in the chat. And he told me the other day, come over here, you'll leave fat. I'm like, well, I'm already fat. But apparently the food is amazing in Portugal, so it's back on my bucket list. London was on my bucket list, and then I took it off because of some of the shithole stuff going on with the immigration. But I've been watching Jules Guides If you haven't subscribed to Jules Guides, Joolz Guides, he does walking tours of London. He is hysterical, great tours, wonderful things to see. So now it's back on my bucket list. So when I finally do come over, it's going to be London, Portugal, Madrid. I have no desire to go to Italy. I've been there, done that. Uh, but I also wish to go to Argenteuil and to help me out, Allie. Uh, Monet's home, Giverny. Uh, I want to get over there and
Oh,
paint
okay.
Monet's garden. So that's on my bucket list. Now I'm no longer going to sell the house and buy a narrowboat and live on the canals, but I at least want to get over there and see Monet's home. I want to see London. I want to see Portugal, and I want to see Madrid, Spain.
Well, there's a chance I might move to Belgium, so.
Mm.
Yeah, I've been to all those places. Portugal's fantastic. It really is a good place. But London.
Well,
Yeah.
I gotta get going, guys. I got some stuff I gotta do. But
All right, Allie.
see you all later.
All right, always a pleasure. See you around.
Great
See
seeing
you,
you
Allie.
people. Talk to you
See
later.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye. So now it's the doc interviewing Glenn Fleming show, but it is the morning brew though, Glenn, and though it is afternoon over there and past tea time.
Yeah.
What's your beverage? What do you got going?
I just had a cup of tea.
Okay,
I don't have one going at the moment, but I just had a cup of tea. Yeah, so it's just coming up to 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. I have a question to ask you, and then we're going to wrap it up. I have a question to ask you.
Yep.
And I have a lot of friends in the UK, in England itself, and they'll say, I'm going to have a coffee. And when I was speaking to Gary Captain Phillips on Narrowboat Chugabug, who great channel, go watch it. He basically does it like a vlog, keeping his memoirs for his grandkids. And I told him, I've got to go make a pot of coffee. And he said, oh, is that like when we make a kettle? I'm like, no, it's a drip machine. He had no idea what a drip machine was. So my question for you guys is, how do you make a cup of coffee over there? Is it instant coffee and you just pour water in it, or?
No, I don't drink coffee, but Helen does. But what she'll either make, if she wants a quick cup of coffee, she'll make an instant one, just with boil the kettle, put the water in and the milk in and whatever. But she has a percolator as well, which is like a drip.
Okay.
I think she buys it in. She buys the coffee, which is obviously a lot more sophisticated than instant coffee, because you know what I mean. It's proper coffee, and it's in a bag. I think it's in a bag, and she puts it in the machine, and the water goes over and it drips into the pot, and then you pour it whenever you want it. So, I mean, I've been to America lots of times, as you know, and I've noticed that the coffee, people who make coffee here make it like you do, with a drip. But that's okay. I said to people, you see, I don't drink coffee. I only drink coffee when I'm in the United States, and that's because I've been all over the States, but I've never been anywhere that made a decent cup of tea. So I drink the coffee, which is okay.
If you come here to where I am, there is a world-ranked coffee house that is also ranked highly for tea.
All right.
It is whole leaf. It's imported directly from the plantations, and they know how to make it. Mm-hmm. So
you see, the thing is, if I did come to Georgia and go to that place, I would have the tea.
Yeah.
Because I would give it a try. I'd give anybody a try about anything,
Right.
But I've tried lots of tea in America, but it's just don't have a clue. I'll tell you a story. When I went to Jack Kirby's house, Roz asked my ex, who was with me, would she show her how to make a proper cup of tea?
Nice.
So very she showed nice. Because Americans that I've met can't get their heads around boiling a kettle.
Right.
They can't work it out because you don't have your coffee sort of piping hot, do you?
Yes, I do. It's as hot as I can stand it.
Oh, right. Well, okay. Well, most Americans I've met drink it all day, and it's sort of lukewarm. Well, I
can't stand that.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that anyway. But I do drink it. I like it hot.
Yes.
But yeah. Ross Kirby asked my ex how to make a cup of tea, so she went off into the kitchen and showed her how to make a cup of tea. And she had some tea bags and stuff, but she couldn't work it out.
The milk goes in last, so you don't curdle the milk.
That's right.
Exactly right. Listen, I literally just went on a rant about this, about the temperature of coffee. I can't stand that. And it's a trend that's happened back in the 70s. You couldn't even hold a cup of coffee in your hands. It was so hot. You had to blow on it and get it down to a drinkable temperature.
Yeah.
Let's see. James says, oddly, the best tea I've had in the U.S. is at Indian restaurants. Yep. Now for Southern sweet tea, yes. The Mexican restaurants rule. Southern sweet tea is a whole different animal. If there's not 2 cups of sugar to 1 gallon, then you're not doing it right. But having said that, there was a great scene in NCIS where Gibbs, what's his name's character, brought Ducky, Dr. Mallard, a tea bag. And he goes, well, I brought you a tea bag. He goes, Gibbs, that is not tea. That is tea dust.
Well, I drink the dust. Helen, she's got a more refined palate than I do. I drink the dust from the supermarket, and she does as well. She does as well, but occasionally she'll make an Earl Grey or a really nice cup of tea, and I don't like that. I'm just a heathen. I just like the dust. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I will occasionally, and you're right, James. Indian restaurants do. They know how to make tea because they were part of the empire.
Yeah.
Let's see. In a pot of tea, it's really important to put the milk in last. Yes, if you're making the whole pot at once. I don't add anything to my tea except a little spritz of lemon.
There you go. You see, this is what Americans do.
Yes.
Stop putting cinnamon sticks and shit like that in everything. Do you know what I mean?
Not even a little lemon?
No.
Are you kidding? Look, one of my British friends does it. He's the one that told me to do it.
That doesn't mean he's right. He's probably as deluded as America.
Listen, I thought about you, Glenn, the other day. My wife made biscuits, real biscuits, that you guys call scones. And
we call them scones.
Yes, scones, depends on where you're at. I was going to bring them out on a plate and go, this is a biscuit.
Yeah.
This is a cracker.
Well, it's the same. It's great because you've got to be careful when a Brit goes to America. You've got to be careful because you eat French fries.
Yes.
Well, they're called chips here.
Yes.
Well, chips to you are
crisps.
Crisps to us. Because I remember when I first went out, the first place I went was Houston, Texas.
Oh my God, Tree Goblin!
And I went to a restaurant and asked for steak and chips. So I got this fantastic steak that was like the size of a brick. It was beautiful with a few crisps next to it. I said, what's this? So I was talking to this girl and we were laughing. She said, "Oh, you mean French fries?" Well, no, I don't, because your French fries are really skinny things, aren't they? Chips are really substantial. They're really nice. That's why they're called chips.
Yeah. Okay. Southern buttermilk. Let me tell you a true story about that. I've got a friend in England. I have several, but one of them sent me the recipe for his mother's homemade scones.
Yeah.
And I gave it to my wife, and she goes, "Well, this is just biscuits with sugar in it." And I was like, "Well, make some." Because I'll put sugar and butter on a biscuit, Yeah. So she made some, and sure as shit, they were just biscuits with sugar in them. Well, so, having said that, we here in the South know how to make scones.
Well, my wife would say scones.
Yeah.
I say scones. But she's wrong.
But don't tell her that.
I didn't know. I said it's the only time you're wrong.
She doesn't know she's wrong.
apart from when you disagree with me, you're always right.
We had a thing going the other night on somebody's channel. I don't remember whose it was, but Fanta is from the Deep South also. She's one state over in Alabama.
Right.
And oh my God, Tree Goblin says, "I'd rather put pineapple in tea than drink it cold." Listen, Tree Goblin, I want you to come spend 72 hours in the Deep South when it's 108 degrees with 100% humidity. You'll be gasping for some sweet iced tea. But we were talking, and she put sugar in her grits. So I revoked her Southern card. You are not, that is an abomination before the Lord God Almighty. and you don't love SEC football, so you can't be right with God. Listen, you don't put anything in grits except salt, pepper, butter. You can top it with some cheese or some bacon if you want to.
See, you're doing it again.
You don't.
Just eat the grits. They're
You
great.
don't put sugar in grits. It's not oatmeal. It's not cream of wheat. It's an entirely different look. Would you put sugar on hominy corn? No.
No, no.
Well, that's all grits is hominy corn.
Yeah. So yeah.
Jeez.
Oh dear.
So we had a big.
Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say the best steak I ever had was in Abilene, Texas. It was like the side of a house. It took me about 4 hours to eat it. It was absolutely gorgeous. It was brilliant, and it didn't cost anything. It cost over here it would have cost a fortune that size of meat, but it was I can't remember what it was now. It's 40 years, but it was absolutely stunning.
Yeah. I'll put honey in oatmeal. Absolutely. Oatmeal is meant to be sweet, thick, stick to your ribs, get you going. But not grits. Grits is butter, salt, and pepper. That's it. Now, having said that, I discovered apparently there's a very strong relationship between Northern England / Scotland and the Appalachian foothills here because all the Scotch Irish moved here when they immigrated. So we have a lot more in common with the motherland over there in England than most parts of the country. Excuse me. And I was railing about beans on toast is not a breakfast thing. What the hell, people? You trying to give yourself gas all day long? Apparently in the Appalachians, they do beans on toast or serve beans with breakfast.
Yeah, we have a thing called a full English. And you get black pudding. You've heard of black pudding with the blood in it? I don't eat that.
No.
Bacon, tomatoes, and mushrooms, and people have beans with that. I would probably hold the beans, not because of any gas thing, but because I don't think it goes with it.
Yeah.
But I can eat beans on. I would have beans on toast for my lunch.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
We have that here where the tomatoes are served with breakfast.
Yeah.
And Georgia tomatoes are to die for. If you ever get a chance, they're the most acidic tomatoes, tart, brilliant, bright red, and crisp. They're not like those mushy California tomatoes or those little bitty Romas. These things are beast mode.
Yeah.
And in the low country down in that comes from the low country, Savannah, Port Royal, Beaufort, shrimp and grits. I got to admit, I had it for the first time in 2012, and it was amazing. It was good.
There was one of the Skylab astronauts. I can't remember his name. I think it was Gibson. He's called. He might be dead now. I'm not sure. This was in the 70s, but I read about him, and he was taught when he came back. I think he was up for 2 months on Skylab, and he went around the world 6 billion times and traveled 8 million miles, and all that. 60 days he was up there, and they said to him, I think it was at a press conference, and one of them said, one of the whoever it was said to him, what was the worst thing about being in space? The worst thing. And he said, oh, that's really easy. The worst thing was he was from Georgia, I think he was from the south, and he liked grits, and because he liked grits, he put on his menu that they had to stick to, because it's part of the what they're testing and all that kind of thing. They couldn't deviate from the menu. They had to do a menu for 60 days. And every morning he put grits in his breakfast. And he said, I never do that at home. And I can't understand why I did it. And he said after a week he was sick of grits. He said, but he had to eat them. He couldn't change. He had to do it.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. I like to vary breakfast, but typically, a Southern breakfast is patty sausage, spicy patty sausage, eggs any way you want them, grits, toast, and tomatoes. That's my ideal breakfast. But every now and then I get a craving for bacon, and I would slaughter somebody to get it.
Yeah. I
said that to say this. My wife, for some reason, is concerned with my health. I don't know why.
Maybe she loves you, Doc.
If you really love me, give me the bacon. So there's never bacon in this house.
Right.
Never. Well, like a week ago, I got up and I smelled bacon. And I was like, I got to be hallucinating. Maybe I'm having a stroke. No, she had cooked bacon and grits and eggs and homemade biscuits. And oh my God, was I a happy man. I mean, it's one of those where you don't even get to sit down. You're just dancing with your bacon. Yes, yes. Bacon.
Well, we don't eat too much bacon. We love it, but we don't eat a lot of it because we're not. I'll tell you, for my breakfast this morning, I had 2 slices of toast and a cup of tea, and I have that every morning because that's all I need. If we're on holiday or something, or it's a Sunday, maybe we might have a full English type of thing, or just a bacon sandwich or something. But basically, we're not breakfast eaters.
Right.
And when I went to California to see my friends who took me to see Kirby, who drove us out to see Kirby, we went. They kidnapped us and they put us on an RV for a week. And we went up to Carmel in California from Anaheim, and all that. And we went into this place, and as you know, America's a big place, so you're always traveling 5 hours to the nearest
bathroom.
Yeah. So, but we didn't get this. We didn't work it out to start with, and because we thought we'd be stopping when you needed to stop, but no. Bob took us to this place, and it was he'd read about it in the newspaper, and it was like for $1 for whatever you could eat, and it was like all the world's food was there.
Yeah.
So we got up in this RV car park this morning at 7 o'clock. And he told us about this, and he had these vouchers. So we went across the road to this building and whatever it was, and we paid the $1. And all I had was 2 pieces of toast because that's all I wanted.
Yeah.
Bob and Suzanne were having turkey and beef, and there was just had this that then stuffed themselves. But what Bob didn't tell us, because I'd have had a bit more, was that we weren't stopping for 6 hours.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So I'm thinking, are we going to stop, Bob? I'm feeling a bit hungry. Oh, you should have eaten the breakfast. We can't stop.
I'd have killed him at that point.
Oh well. My I mean, I love the guy. He's dead, but I love him. He's great. When people ask me to describe him, I say he was a really nice fella. Do anything for you, but he'd do it his way.
Yes.
And my ex was for two whole days. We were just driving. We did 2,000 miles in 4 days.
Whoa.
We drove from Anaheim up the Pacific coastline thing to Carmel, then over to Fresno, San Luis Obispo, across from the Harvey to Las Vegas. We did all that in 2 days, and most of my memories are white lines.
Yes.
And I was driving this thing. It was not the size of the USS Nimitz. It was huge. And I drove. Bob said to me one night, I'd been drinking beer, not getting drunk, but having a couple of beers and chilling out. And he's driving, and I didn't want to drive this thing. You know what I mean? These RVs, they're huge. It was one of those big long ones, extra long one.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, about 10 o'clock at night, he says, "Right, that's me, and I'm done now. You're going to have to drive." The girls were asleep, and I thought, okay, so. And then he fell asleep, and I drove it, and then all of a sudden I hit this patch of road, which wasn't wide enough for this vehicle, and it's going.
Oh boy!
Right, and it was pitch black. There was no street lights. There was nothing, and all these cars headlights kept appearing, and zipping past. Anyway, when I got I drove for about 100 miles, and I got through to a little town wherever it was. Lights, and I stopped, and Bob woke up, and I said, "Bob, I'm not driving this thing again." And do you know where I'd driven through? You know the Mojave Desert, Death Valley, where all the rocks are.
Yeah.
I drove past them and didn't see them because it was 1 o'clock in the morning. It was pitch black.
Well,
I was so angry because I wanted to see that.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? You better be glad you drove through there at night.
Yeah, because it's Death Valley. Yeah.
It's called that for a reason.
I'll tell you what happened as well. When I was driving along, the wing mirror, the center wing mirror for the rear, what would be for the rear, you couldn't see because all you could see was the wardrobe at the back of the RV.
Right.
And it had those like big truck size mirrors on the side.
Yes.
Well, the mounting the mounting of it was faulty, and it just kept drifting away. So it would move, and I couldn't see what was behind me.
Oh.
And then it'd come back, and there'd be two headlights there.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, where the hell am I? You know, Americans have guns, and they have these lunatics, and all these things were going around my mind. And this car came up, and then this car came up. A couple of cars came up and zipped past. Then this car followed me for about 20 miles, just on my tail. And I thought, what's going on here? So anyway, he comes up alongside, and he's alongside me now, and I'm driving this bloody thing, and I finally looked down, and he had one of those foghorn things, what they call those, what they do with crowds, you know, with the shout.
Oh yeah, bullhorn.
A bullhorn. It had, and he goes, keep her steady, and then all these lights came on. It was a police car, and then he shut off, and I thought if he'd have stopped me, I wouldn't have passed the breathalyzer, even though I wasn't thumping all over the road.
Right, right.
Oh, can you imagine that? But anyway, he shut off, and there you go.
Listen,
lots more stories, but go on.
You are braver than I am, because the chances of me driving when I come to England are precisely zero. It ain't gonna happen. If there's no Uber, I'm walking. I'm taking a bus. You know, James says for breakfast, and he's north of me. He's in North Carolina. Pork tenderloin, biscuits, gravy, and home fried potatoes, which you would call chips. No, home fries is hash browns.
I would have that for my dinner, not for breakfast.
Yeah. Now, so that leads me to Tree Goblin. What is your normal breakfast over there? I got to know this. This stuff is the spice of life to me. I love knowing these things. And Marv, if you're still there, what in the world do you have for breakfast in Portugal? I want to know. I live for this stuff. Maybe it's an old man thing. I don't know.
Well, when I come to stay at your house, Doc, breakfast time, 2 pieces of toast and a cup of tea, and I'm done.
Well, I will make sure I get fresh baked bread, because American bread is a shame. And real butter, because margarine is a shame. But no, you're going to have a real breakfast if you come here, whether you want it or now. You might just eat the toast off the.
No, I would have one. I would always try it, but I might not have another one. but if I enjoy it, I probably would. You know.
And who was I talking to? Oh, it was in that same chat that somebody was talking about their breakfast, and they basically had cream of wheat and something, and I forget what it was, but it sounded like the worst possible way to start. Like, that's gruel that you would get in prison in the 1700s. You know, why would you eat that on purpose?
Yeah, if you had a choice, yeah.
And
I remember many years ago when I walked through India, and I'm always going. I don't do it so much these days, but I was always going off somewhere, you know. And she couldn't believe it. And she said, I said, I'm going away for 2 months, Mum. And she said, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to India. I'm going across the Indian subcontinent. And she said, what are you going there for? I said, well, because I want to see it, you know. And she said, you do know they eat curry, don't you? I said, I'm aware of that, Mum, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going, because I love curry, you know. Yes. And they've got some great recipes, and I've got some top secret recipes and stuff like that off the guys. Yes. And I've never told anybody what they are, and I make them today, and it's wonderful. Okay, chicken curry, you know.
When I come stay at your house, I want that. I'm the only member of my family that likes curry. And the more, the better. I like yellow curry, red curry, orange curry. I don't care. I love it. And when you go into an American hotel that's owned by the Indians, you smell curry when you walk in the lobby. And all my friends, all of them, mind you, even my Navy friends who are from all over the States, they would go, oh, what does that smell? I'm like, that smells good.
Yeah.
Oh, you got lost in Watts, did you?
I went. Fun. Yeah. We went into Watts when Bob picked us up from the airport in LAX. We're in a sports car with a soft top. I was in the front with him. The girls were in the back. Really nice. I think it was his brother's car, but it was really nice, little sporty thing. And I was talking to him, you know, and all this kind of thing. And I could see he was looking a bit anxious, and because he told me that we were about 40 minutes from where he lived, from the airport, from where he lived, and it was like an hour and a half. And I said to him, "Are you showing us the sights, Bob?" Or he says, "No." I'm lost. So I
Oh,
said,
no.
right, where are we? He says, well, we're in a place called Watts. Now, I've heard about Watts.
Woof, everybody has.
And every time we came to the stop sign, you could feel it. You could feel the tension between different people, if you will.
Yes.
Anyway, we got out. He couldn't find his way around the one-way system, or something was wrong. But
Yeah.
I thought, how can you do that?
Tree Goblin, I am not letting you off the hook. All right. I don't eat until 2:00. Okay, I get that. But you have had breakfast in your life. So what is your preference for breakfast?
If you had to have breakfast, what would it be?
Yes, exactly. Like in South Georgia, they not South Georgia. Where am I thinking about? It's Louisiana. I noticed the breakfast down there was chops and eggs. They'd have thin pork chops and eggs with toast instead of biscuits.
Yeah.
Which is not bad. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
I think as long as eggs are your anchor man, you're okay for breakfast.
I remember when I was in Dallas, Texas, and there's in the hotel, and I was there, and I said to this guy, he said, it was in the hotel. It was he was the chef or whatever he was, and he said, "What do you want breakfast?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said to him, he said to me, "What do you want?" And I said, "Well, you bring me what you'd have." So he brought me this, and there was enough food to feed about 16 garrisons of Marines, and it was just everything. And I said, "What is this?" And it was in a big pile, and he had this sauce on it. And I said, "What's the sauce for? Who has sauce on the breakfast?" No, well, yeah, I suppose it was, but it was. Oh, I ate it, but some of it, but it wasn't the best.
When I was on active duty in the military, periodically you would have to stand a duty for a week that's night master at arms. That means you're just the guy manning the phones and making sure the building's locked down overnight. You take any phone calls, keep the logbook, and you wake up the duty crew in the morning. Well, I forgot to pack a lunch, and you cannot leave. There's nothing you can do about it. You are just locked in. So I began to fantasize about 5:00 in the morning when I'm going to wake the duty crew up, be relieved, and get out of there, and the chow hall opens. Because I was young, married, and broke, and the chow hall is only 50 cents. Now, it's free if you live on base. I didn't. I lived off base. So let me paint this picture for you. I'm at Paris Island at this time. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 mess halls, galleys we call them. And then you can leave there, go across the river, and the Naval Hospital is over there, and it has one. You can leave there and go across the other side of the island, and the air station is there, and they have 2. So you have your pick. Well, the Naval Hospital had a breakfast buffet that you could not see from one end to the other. And if you could imagine having it, they have it. Period. So I'm literally I got relieved. I hauled ass over there. I got in line. I was number 3 in line. We get in, and I almost killed myself in that breakfast line. That's when I'm young and in shape. Eat all you want. You're not going to get fat. I even took a break between plates so I could eat some more. Let's see.
I did a similar thing when I was in Spain once. We went to this. We were staying at this hotel, and it was like an evening meal was in the deal, So we'd walk around in the day and eat at a place outside somewhere, and then come back for evening meal. So there's this guy, and we called him Macca because he looked like Paul McCartney.
Okay.
It wasn't Paul McCartney, but he looked like Paul McCartney, and he knew he looked like Paul McCartney. But then again, to be fair, he would have actually been blind not to realise that he looked like Paul McCartney.
Right.
Imagine Paul McCartney in the 70s. That's how he looked.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we called him Macca, and he wasn't happy about that. I'm not sure whether he knew what we meant, but anyway, I went to it was like a buffet. One evening was a buffet, so I got my plate, and we'd been out all day, not much to eat, driving around, all this stuff like you do, go and see these places, and I was hungry. So I got my plate and I filled it, and I got a big pile of chicken wings and real good stuff. And I sat down with this plate, and he came over, Macca, and he says, He says, "Hey, too much, you know." Okay, so I ate everything. I was absolutely stuffed. I got up and got my plate and went and got some more, just to piss him off.
Just to spite him, yeah.
And he was I could feel his laser beams in the side of my head, you know. And I'm eating this chicken. I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to be sick in a minute, you know. but I cleared it again, you know.
Good man. Yeah, that was
it has to be done.
John Panetta talked about that with a Chinese all you can eat. You know, he was a great big large obese comedian. He said, after an hour, the guy came out. You go home. You've been here 4 hours. You eat whole profit. You go home. No come back. Eat salad. So then, listen, years later, he has another comedy routine, and he's talking about when he was stuck in Scotland, and the food was terrible, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he discovered a Chinese place. And he goes in, and they have an all-you-can-eat buffet, and he's like, ha, ha, ha. And he goes, then a fella comes out. I move here, get away from you. How do you find me? Oh, well, I'm going to wrap this one up, ladies and gents. Good time. You know, I appreciate those that showed up. James Hayes, Tree Goblin, Ellie, Glenn, of course, Mike. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. Amit was here. Rion was here. Shadowhawk was here.
Marv.
Good Stuff was here. Marv was here. So it was really great to see everyone. And I appreciate you coming out and supporting me as I had to do an emergency stand-in for Pops. The Tuesday morning brew on the Madness will be back at its regular location. Wait, Marv, you're still here. You got to answer my question before I go, Marv. What do we have for breakfast in Portugal? I've got to know. I'm not leaving until I hear this. And then we're going to go. See you, Good Stuff. I got to know.
While you're waiting, I'll show you this again.
Yes, please do. Here, let me. Where can people find a little bit of Hatch, Glenn?
They can find Hatch number 1 on Amazon, and they'll be able to find Hatch number 2 shortly, because it's all done. In fact, it's been done since before Christmas. I think I've told you this.
Yeah.
But I had some initial problems with my Kirby book for the launch end of last year, and so I got more into that and put it back. But it's been ready for since 6 months now. So that's coming probably to Indiegogo soon.
All right. Cool.
And I'm also going to start doing a Hatch feature in my magazine, Comics Unlimited, which you can also find on Amazon, which is about comics and all that kind of thing.
All right. Fantastic.
Next to everything else that I've written.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure you follow Glenn Fleming wherever you find him. The man is definitely talented. He's been at this for a minute, so you're going to always get a quality experience. Chat, always a pleasure to see you guys. You rock my world. You make my day. Peace out.
See you, Doc.